morning, my friends and family. Thank you for being with me today. Today's video is all about beef. I went to Costco. I try to go once every 3 months now, and stocked up on beef stew, hamburger, and some top sirloin steaks. I'm going to get these ready for the freezer. I will be canning the beef stew because that's my favorite way to eat it. I do have a video on that. I'll link it below. And then 1 pack of the $3.99 per pound ground beef. It is 88% lean. It's the only ground beef I can eat. Other hamburger makes me really sick, and this is the best for me. But I'm going to be pressure canning my homemade spaghetti sauce. So I've got plenty of vegetables from the garden that I need to chop up and use up. I've got 2 bags of frozen tomatoes, so we're going to pull all that out. So stick around through the video and see how easy it is to do. It's going to need to be pressure canned at 10 pounds of pressure for 90 minutes in quart jars, but it's easy. I'm going to show you how easy it is to do. Or if you don't want to worry about pressure canning, you can follow the directions with me, put it in quart-sized Ziploc bags and freeze it. So either way, let's get busy cooking and making that homemade spaghetti sauce. Now, I did use my Ball Complete Book of Home Preserving for the majority of this recipe. It's spaghetti sauce with meat. I followed those directions and then I tweaked it a little bit. I did not puree the tomatoes. I am using the celery that was in the recipe, the green bell peppers, the garlic, and the chopped onion. I just changed it up by adding some tomato paste and tomato sauce. So the first step was to chop all these vegetables, and I want you people to see my new chopper that I picked up at Aldi's for $10, and it works so fast. I don't know why I've been doing it the other way all these years, but I'm loving my food chopper. It has several different kinds of chopping plates that you put inside of it, but it is awesome. Saves me a lot of time, and I'm not crying anymore when I chop onions. So head over to Aldi's and pick you up one of these food choppers. They're great. So after I got all of the vegetables chopped, I'm going to start browning that 6-pound pack of hamburger. And I did do this in 2 batches in a big pot. Now, I did not add any salt to this because the recipe does call for salt. So I'm just basically browning the meat and the onions, peppers, celery, and garlic. Now, after I've browned it real well, now it's time to drain off the fat. And you can see I'm just scooping it up and going to drain off all of that fat before I add it to my spaghetti sauce. Now I've got the ground beef all done. I've got my big steel pot out. I've added 5 quart bags of the tomatoes that I put up earlier. And I just rough chopped these. I did not puree and remove the seeds. I kind of like a chunky sauce. So I've got those all melted now in the pot and simmering. And I'm going to be adding 2 cans of tomato paste, just to thicken it up and give it a really good rich sauce taste. So I'm adding that right into the 5 quart bags of tomatoes right from my backyard garden. I have finally finished my tomato season this year and I had a great yield. So I'm going to be adding that in and stirring it up, getting that tomato paste to dissolve, and then we're going to be adding in the spices. So for this recipe, I double the one that was in the book. I'm adding 2 tablespoons of oregano, 2 tablespoons of Italian seasoning, 2 teaspoons of salt, and 2 teaspoons of pepper. And now I'm adding in a 1/2 cup of brown sugar. That gives it a real nice taste to the spaghetti sauce that was in the recipe, and this is the first time I've added it to my sauce, and it really turned out well. I really like that flavor. So we're going to be adding now in the ground beef, mixing it all together. Alright, now the 6 pounds of fresh ground beef have been added to the sauce. I'm going to give it a quick stir and look at it, and I really believe I need 2 cans of tomato sauce. Just wasn't quite red enough for me. So I'm adding in the 2 cans of red sauce, tomato sauce. This is from Costco. It's their organic brand, and look at the difference. That just made it right for me. So I'm going to stir this and let it sit on the stove and simmer, kind of a medium-low simmer, stirring occasionally for about 20 minutes. Now, if you wanted to freeze this, all you have to do is remove the pot from the stove, let it cool completely, and then just pour it in quart or gallon size bag, freeze flat, laying out flat, and that's it. You're done. But for this, we're going to be pressure canning. So I've got my 7 jars in the canner. They're getting sterilized. The canner's hot. The sauce is right from the stove. It is hot. I have everything ready to go. My lids are sitting in hot water. I always clean everything before I can. My utensils are cleaned. My countertop is cleaned. That's just the way I like to can. So now we're ready to can this sauce. I'm going to take my wide mouth jar out. It is full of really hot water. I'm going to go pour that off in the sink. I already have 3 quarts of water in the canner. And so now I'm going to take my jar and go ahead and start filling it with that delicious hot spaghetti sauce. So I've got my funnel in place, and I'm just ladling in the spaghetti sauce. I'm going to leave a 1-inch headspace at the top, and I'm going to be debubbling, removing the bubbles. So far, so good. Such an easy process. Alright, I see I'm just a little short, so now I'm going to fill it up to 1-inch headspace at the top. I'm going to wipe the rim off with a clean cloth, and I put on a lid, and I put on a ring, fingertip tight, and it goes right back in the canner because I want that jar to stay nice and hot. I know you're thinking, why does she go to all this trouble to make homemade spaghetti sauce? Well, number 1, it's really good and delicious. Number 2, I like to do this because I needed to clean out my freezer to get those 5 quarts of tomatoes that are taking up room. And it's just a good way to have a pantry stable shelf meal ready. If the power goes out, all I have to do is take this out, heat up my little propane burner, and then I can have a meal, just open a jar. So I like to do this with spaghetti sauce, chili, any kind of stew beef meal. It's perfect for the pantry. So that's why I like to do it. Now the canner is almost full. I've got 1 more jar to fill, but I've got 7-quart jars in the canner. And then I'm going to be putting the lid on and building that pressure up, letting it vent for 10 minutes. And then once it has vented for 10 minutes, I will put on the weight. But here's the canner full of the jars. I'm going to put my lid on. I have checked my seal, and I've checked the pressure knob at the top to make sure it's clear. Everything looks good, so I put it on, lock it in place, and I wait to vent for 10 minutes. And venting is when the steam really comes out. You vent for 10 minutes and then put the weight on, bring it up to pressure, 10 pounds, and then I pressure canned it for 90 minutes. I always set 2 timers to make sure that I don't go over. And I stay in the kitchen and monitor the whole time it is in that pressure canner. So here are the 7 quarts of delicious spaghetti sauce. It's going to be so nice this winter and fall just to pull out a jar, heat it up, and pour it over some noodles. So I hope I have given you some encouragement to get to canning or making your own spaghetti sauce and freezing it. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and don't forget, please like and subscribe, and have a very blessed day.